Who here uses Shazam? Okay, I see quite a few Shazam users. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a crazy idea for something that's impossible? You dream up one day, oh, what if I could create a home internet service that never goes down, right? Or what if I could invent an app for my phone that when I'm doing my laundry, it finds that missing sock, right? An idea for something that's completely impossible. Well, I had an idea for something completely impossible back in 1999. I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could just pull out your mobile phone and it would hold it up in the air and it would identify that song? Wouldn't that be an amazing thing? I mean, people could use it anywhere, driving in their car, in a nightclub, in a bar, or even in a grocery store. That was my idea, but when I took it and I told the idea to PhDs and professors of electrical engineering focused on audio signal processing at places like MIT Media Lab and Stanford's Center for Computer Research in Music and Acoustics. I took it to them and I said, that's my idea. But they said, I'm sorry, that's impossible. There's no technology that can do that. I mean, there was technology that could identify music in a nice, clean environment with no background noise against a smaller database of songs. But to do what I wanted to do across all music with background noises, that was impossible. They didn't know how to do it, and they didn't even know how to invent it. Now imagine right now if what you're working on right now at work, people told you is impossible. I mean, professors from the top universities said, I'm sorry, that's impossible. What would it be like to go into work every day working on this project? You think, is there any hope? And the truth is that Shazam almost failed from the very start, and it's all my fault. Because my original idea for Shazam was not good enough. My original idea for Shazam was this. You see, there were technologies already back at that time in 1999 when I had the idea. There were technologies that already monitored radio stations using this archaic basic forms of music recognition. Because with radio, you just have a limited amount of songs and a limited amount of stations and clean signals. And they would monitor these stations, and they knew what song was playing on the stations in real time. So my original idea was, oh, I'll tie into that information on the mobile phone. And the user will simply take out their mobile phone when they want to know a song playing on the radio. And if they know the radio station number, they would simply type in the radio station number, and it would tell them what song is playing, okay? That's the idea. Building on technologies that already existed, right? Now imagine if we'd actually built that, raised venture capital money, hired employees, built this service, launched it, and that was Shazam. Do you think it would still exist today? No. It'd be bankrupt, right? We would have been made irrelevant by now. It's a good thing we didn't do that. Now, before Shazam almost failed, I almost failed. Because as a child, and even today, I have dyslexia. And so things were difficult. Learning was difficult. When I was 10 years old, I went to a public school in California, and there were 60 kids my age, and they said, oh, we're going to create 2 classrooms. We're going to put the smart 30 kids in this classroom, and the not so smart 30 kids in this classroom. And that's where I was. The not so smart kids, because I struggled. Now, actually, I worked very hard all the way and got into university at UC Berkeley in engineering. But once I was in engineering at UC Berkeley, I struggled again. I was lost. I couldn't keep up with all these smart kids. I really, really struggled. In my first semester at UC Berkeley, I got a 1.7 grade point average. Failing. And what they do is they kindly write a letter and send it directly to your parents, saying your child is going to be kicked out of UC Berkeley by next semester if he doesn't get his grades up. However, there was this one other thing as a child. It was another issue I faced when I was in middle school. And the teacher, the biology teacher, wrote a report card to my parents saying, your child is defiant. He questions my authority. He questions the things that I teach. Now, she wrote it in a negative way, but when I look back, I think maybe it's not such a bad thing. Maybe defiance is a good thing. I mean, we say, oh, it's so bad, my child is defiant, but maybe that's a good thing, right? I mean, after all, I loved magic shows as a kid. I loved to make magic shows, and magic is defiance of logic, right? And so what is Shazam? What if you could use defiance to create magic? That's what we did with Shazam, to create magic, to create something that was so magical, 2 billion people downloaded it. So magical that it became a verb. And people said, I'm going to Google this, and then I'm going to Shazam that. And so magical that many people will tell you they even remember the first time they ever used it. Much like Sandeep will tell you, the first time they ever used it. Right? So how did we do that? How did we create this thing that people remember the first time they used it?